the technology part. And my brother Lee, he was an electrical engineer, taught me everything that I know about a computer, which is not very much. He gets pretty put out with me sometimes. But anyway, technology has come so far since I started flying, because in the beginning, the tickets were written by hand, your schedules were written by hand, the flight attendant schedules, pilot schedules, everything was done by hand, and it's just changed so much today. I remember as a young flight attendant going into operations over at Smith Reynolds Airport before the big headquarters was built, and there was a big, huge board with our route structure on it. And they would move the little airplanes all day long according to where they were flying. Now, can you imagine that today with our huge structure? So it's changed so much. I'd like to thank a lot of people today. I'd like to thank everyone, my friends and family, all of you that are here. Especially my brother Stephen, who is in Vietnam. He's here in spirit. And my brother Lee Dobyns, who, like I said, is the computer geek. He is here with his wife. And my brother Tom, who is a doctor in Lynchburg, Virginia. And I was wondering who is with your patients today. Are you waiting to go back after lunch? Or are they still, what? Thank you for taking your time to be with me today. I know it's very valuable. I'd like to thank all my cousins that are here, and especially little Maddie. Maddie is here all the way from London, England. You might have heard her speaking earlier. I'd like to thank Walter Turner, who is the historian at the North Carolina Transportation Museum. He's written a wonderful book also, Paving Tobacco Roads. If you haven't read that, it's about transportation in North Carolina. And if you read all these books, you're going to be no adult left behind, I'm sure. I'd like to thank Felix, my partner of 31 years, for all the Stouffer dinners and lean cuisines that he's had to endure over the years when I've been traveling. Mr. Richard Murdoch and Captain Howard Miller for my beautiful private tour yesterday of the Reynolds Museum, especially with all of Smith Reynolds memorabilia. I would like to thank you very much, and I really enjoyed that. I'd like to thank all my classmates that are here. My nutty professor, Charlie Von Cannon, and I say that with terms of endearment. He taught us biology, and he was straight out of college when he started teaching juniors and seniors. Can you imagine that? Must have been a very difficult job. But I want to thank him for not making me cut up that frog. I don't have to get my diploma back, do I? I would like to thank Elaine Gray Bill Mock for a wonderful reception that she gave me last night at her home. She and her husband, Carrie. And the limousine that she had ordered for me this morning that I did not know about, and everybody else did. That was fabulous. Where is Elaine and her sister Brenda Graybill for doing the flowers? Please recognize them. I love them dearly. In June of 2006, Doug Parker, who was the president and CEO of US Airways, came to Charlotte for a christening of the airplane. This button that I have on represents all the airlines that make up the family of US Airways. And he took 4 aircraft from our fleet and painted them in each of these colors. And after I worked so hard to preserve Piedmont's history, he handed it to me on a silver platter, which was fabulous. He had that airplane painted, and I helped him christen it. And it's flying around today with that blue Speedbird on it, and it's wonderful. If you see it in our fleet, you will know where it came from. But he also had the vision to create this button, which is so important to our history of US Airways. It's one thing for your airline to be loved and desired and be gobbled up and your identity lost that way. But it's another thing to have your identity taken away because you went totally out of business, and that's where Braniff comes in. And in the early 80s, Piedmont Airlines hired a lot of their flight attendants, their pilots, their ticket agents, and they're in this room today. And I love them dearly. We fly together and we have a great time. They have a lot of fun stories. Then you have the regional flight attendants who are not recognized. He couldn't recognize everyone in this button that makes up the US Air family, but those little flight attendants are very important, and Philip Phelps is here today. He takes me from Charlotte to Tri-Cities all the time, so he's in this room today. And those PSA girls, now they are in this room today, and let me tell you something, they were out there in California, and they were hired for their beauty, but rubbing elbows with all those movie stars and things, but they're beautiful on the inside as well as the outside. So they're in this room today, and they're very important. Allegheny, the All-American Mohawk and Lake Central girls said, please remember us, because we kind of been, not in this pen, actually not named, but I want to mention them. Allegheny and made up US Air, which made US Airways. And then America West. And today I have Sherry Shamblin here. She's Vice President of In-Flight Services. I'm so happy to have her with me today. And I invited Doug Parker, but he's busy with some labor problems, and I hope he gets those straightened out really soon so we can get on with having a wonderful airline. And of course, I've always said, always be kind to your new flight attendants coming on board, because you never, ever know when they're going to be your big boss. And that's Wendy Stockton, a Piedmont sister, is here today. And I'm so glad I was kind to her. I love them all. And then my Piedmont brothers and sisters. I am so happy that they're in this room today. And I just want you to know that I hope, just because I have gray in my hair, gold in my teeth, and diamonds in my pen, that I will continue to be young at heart and bring many people happily and safely into the great state of North Carolina for many years to come. Thank you so much for this wonderful honor.